One of my favorite books is a book called The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham. And I remember going home that night. I never spent 10 grand a month on anything in my life. And I went, how the fuck am I ever going to financially recover from this, right?
If I had it to do over again, I would have listened to people who were financially smarter than me. I had just started making really good money and I had a few $100,000 in the market. And the market crashed and I was like, I need to pull this out. And then, and my advisor, he was like, this is not a smart move. He tried to talk me out. I was like, sell it all.
What's the message to the individuals that are holding on to things and you regret letting go?
Part of the challenge is overconfidence.
Well, sometimes you just got to feel the pain a little bit sometimes.
When you're young, you fight with your strength. When you're older, you fight with your mind.
You have to tap into your purpose. You have to tap into what is that next level for yourself. And that's not natural.
Because we teach generational wealth, but what we really want is generational mindset. It's the expectation of who I want your friends to be.
We hear these stories. One of my favorite books is a book called The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham.
Keith, man.
If there's somebody to go, if there's somebody to go on
Wow.
YouTube and binge watch their shit, it's Keith Cunningham.
That's good.
First of
He's
all,
awesome.
all of us being Texas boys, you gonna
He's
love his
awesome. He's
accent.
Austin, right?
Yeah. But he's fucking Texas is all get out, right?
He's awesome, man.
And so, but he talks about in that book, he tells his story where he lost $110 million, almost like within a 6-month period of time. He had all these properties and they were worth like $400 million. He leveraged $110 million against them. The crash happened and these things were worth like $50 million. So the banks called all the notes due on his shit and he didn't have it. Wow. It fucking financially ruined him, right? He couldn't control the economy, the notes, right? So I read stories like that through the years and I'm like, man, okay, good to know. How can I avoid that? Well, in 2022, I was in a situation where I had a windfall year and I needed some tax write-off. So I bought this building, right? You get a big 100% depreciation at the time and all of that stuff. And, but I had Johnny, like I'm green, virgin, don't know anything. Now I flipped a bunch of houses, man. I've done 9 figures in real estate, but I never bought a building before. Yeah. And I remember when I rented my old office at the Colonnade, it was 10 grand a month. And I remember going home that night. I never spent 10 grand a month on anything in my life. And I went, how the fuck am I ever going to financially recover from this shit? Right. Then just 5 years later, when that lease was up, we're trying to rent space for like 80 grand a month. We need somewhere that can hold, but I wasn't thinking right. I'm thinking like an American, like I need to own the whole thing. So I'm thinking I need to rent a whole place that occasionally holds 300 or 400 people, and instead of renting a small place and then finding and getting a venture with somewhere else or whatever. Anyway, because at the old place we had a spot for 110 people, but we'd outgrown it. So I'm thinking maybe I just need a place for that many people. Everybody wants like 60, 80 grand a month. So finally I buy this place. And again, when I bought it, it's like, wow, this is actually pretty inexpensive, the mortgage payment, right? But I didn't realize I need to now remodel this thing. And that was a lot of money. And then like, oh shit, I don't have furniture. I got fucking furnished this thing, 22,000 square foot of, and then the AV and the shit you can only imagine, you know what I mean? And none of it's like IKEA shit. So it was like, I known that it was going to be the additional, let's call it $4 million in shit, I would have never bought this motherfucker, right? And then once you're in it, you're like, fuck me, I just got to hustle and make it happen. And it is what it is. I'm dumping my life savings into this shit and pumping the money into it. And, 2 years I've been here, so we're on the other side of all of that. But it did take my eye off of the ball a lot too, because I'm managing a fucking multi-million-dollar project, to get built while I'm like, everybody's working from home. They're this loose net deal. So it threw us out of whack for about 6 months, and then moving in here and all the kinks and shit like that. So we probably in reality lost a year of what we were used to because of this building, and then the money on top of that. And like I said, we're on the other side of it now, but it was, I would highly recommend somebody like look at, and maybe other people are smarter than me. They're like, dude, well, of course you need furniture, right? But I'm just like, hey, we're in the middle of this plan. We're going to see it to the end. And here we are. I saw it to the end,
But it's crazy. Like you narrow that entire story down to this room alone. Like this room alone could pay that bill. Yep. If you laser focus on this particular studio. I look at, if I can go back, over the last 2 years, 3 years, past COVID, especially the last 3 years, I would like to like to study and focus on exit strategies. I think that a lot of times we get into things and we ride it out instead of thinking exit. You think about like the apes, you think about the NFTs, you think about, the bragging rights of what you own. Is it really important to own something, or is it really important to exit? At
or
the
to
top?
Control it.
Yeah. And I didn't exit. I just didn't exit at the, it's, I don't know if it's pride, I don't know if it's emotional attachments, but exiting in the last 48 months would put me in an entirely different mindset, different zone. So if I can go back and read books on exiting.
Yeah. I feel that.
What I meant by the
yeah, for sure. I think that is one of mine. If I had it to do over again, I would have listened to people who were financially smarter than me.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
I remember in 2008 when the market crashed, September, October of 2008, I had just started making really good money.
I was in
LA.
LA.
I had a few $100,000 in the market. And the market crashed, and I was like, I need to pull this out. So I pull it all out after it drops. And then, and my advisor, he was like, this is not a smart move. He tried to talk me out. I was like, sell it all. So I took it, and then it's like oil and gas investment.
Oh, wait, yeah.
And then private equity investment that went south. And then another private equity. It's like, I could have gotten 20 to 1.
Yeah.
And then,
I did exit Bitcoin at the wrong time.
Yeah. We all did. It's like, man, if I just would have put all this in the market or all this in real estate, I would have millions and millions more dollars.
So what do you do to that? Like you have people watching and listening right now. Like what's the message to the individuals that are holding on to things and like you didn't like you regret letting go?
Yeah.
I regret not letting go.
Well, it depends on what it is.
And it's always going to be that though. When does that change? Like when do you know what it is?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you just got to feel the pain a little bit sometimes. Like if I had to start over, number one, I would have capped my expenses.
Yeah.
Because I blew through my first couple mil real quick, right? Cap the expenses. Listen to financially educated people that knew what the heck they were talking about to slap me around a little bit.
I think those guys
patient.
that know better, like the guy that's like, hey, like if your son,
like Kevin Lurie
if Harrison was spending money like crazy, you'd be like, listen, son. But those guys, they know that they're not our dads, or they're like, he ain't gonna listen to me. He's gonna they know because they've seen this to me. Yeah. Jefferson's gonna have to learn that lesson the hard way. Stewman's gonna have to learn that lesson.
Have to teach you.
Then he'll come back to me in 10 years and be like, I should have listened to you, and then I'll even have bigger rapport with them because they'll know I was right.
And the people that are listening to this right now are gonna go, I hear you, but then they're going to go through their lessons too.
Yeah. Well, and part of it, I think part of the challenge is overconfidence because I'm like,
I'm different.
I know I can go make so much. I know
really
I may
good.
lose $500,000 on this deal, but if I lose it, I'll make it back up. And I think about how many times I blew $100,000. I blew six figures going, I could just make it back. I could just make it back. Yeah. And it adds up to a lot of
And you did make it back,
money.
but like you were going to make it back anyway, so you still fucking lost
but
it.
the net was the loss.
Whose number one rule is don't lose money.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean by like personality driven.
I heard him say that. I just ignored it.
I think we're all personality driven entrepreneurs, right? You're personality driven entrepreneurs, so we don't mind hitting the ground because we know our personality can get us back.
Right.
And then I'm watching like Shark Tank and people are saying things like, on my third exit, I'm like, what? Your third exit? Like, who exits?
Well, you know what?
I didn't know that shit was a reality until about 4 or 5 years ago either.
Listen, you bring up a good point because I judge people that exited.
Right.
Like, you don't like your baby? You gonna leave your baby? Right?
Or like, it must have been falling apart and he needed to sell it because if it was a cash cow, why would he sell it? He's like, bitch, $100 million. That's what the fuck I sold it.
My exit. I guess I never had that problem.
I got paid 10 times cash flow. That's why the fuck I sold it.
Yeah.
Well, then it's like also building, certain businesses that are so personality based.
Yeah.
It's, you can't really sell it.
Which is almost everything these days.
That's my biggest problem.
Right.
I think I'm more personality driven instead of, legacy driven.
Yeah. Well, the challenge is it works. to build it
into
with your personality, right?
And it's easier.
It'll grow faster. It'll grow
because
way faster.
We know we can hit the ground and bounce.
Yeah.
Well, people are making decision. Is Matt cool? Is Johnny cool?
Yeah.
Is Jefferson cool? Right?
Yeah.
Like people are making that decision and they want to. Like I'm listening to this Baller Busters video yesterday, and it showed up in my Explore page, and it's like the dude selling Andy Elliott's program, and the guy's like, okay, so for 20 grand, what do I get? And he's like, yeah, man, you get to like slap him on the back, get to bro tap him, you can dap him up, man, you get close so you can look him in the eye. I'm like, oh, they've gone too far because they think he's like that big of a celebrity, and that's when when you start thinking of yourself or your employees thinking of you that big, it's like they weren't selling value. Is what I get at.
It's an implosion.
But people are like, but this guy was like, wait, so I'm gonna pay 20 grand just to hang out with this fucking guy? Like, ain't that cool? I'm wanting to make some money from him, right?
When you say that, I picture future implosion.
Yeah. Well, that's like a celebrity thing.
Yeah.
If you're The Rock, I would definitely pay 20 grand to go fucking bro tap and hang out with The Rock for 3 hours or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
You would turn it into something.
Yeah, turn it into something, right? I'd be the third owner of Tremont fucking tequila.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
put some Skittles in that shit.
Yeah. I'd be like, yo,
sugar-free
Dwayne, do you know
Skittles.
how much money
Skittles.
is in the cattle business right now? We need more cows.
Dude, I'm so.
Tell me about that.
What
I'm
about
so
the
interested in
flatulence?
blue collar billionaires right now. Like, I really would love to interview blue collar billionaires.
I got a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Sammy.
I
love it.
I got a bunch
Is
of
it
them.
Sammy Knight?
Yeah, I've got several of them.
That guy's fascinating. I could listen to him all
We
day
have
long.
a client
I can learn
that's,
from those guys
that's
and girls.
64 years old that has 27,000 acres. Bro, that's the size of fucking Frisco.
Wow.
If you look up how
Where's
big
that at?
Frisco is, Frisco's like 30,000. His place is 27,000. South Texas.
And how do you hold on? Like, listen, and you go back to the exits.
Yeah.
Like, when do you exit on that?
Well, he founded a company that does about $10 billion a year. He's no longer a part of it, but I mean, he was one of the guys there in the beginning. And so, and then and it was a hunting outfit. So they used that land to take, rich guys from Walmart and shit down there hunting and stuff like that. So it's
Is that the same place we wrecked at?
No, that's
Oh,
a different
place.
That's
Okay.
7,000 acres. That's another buddy of
Oh,
mine.
shit.
So, yeah.
As we go
That guy leased that place. Here's a good lesson. I teach this in the book that I wrote. But like that guy,
Shameless plug. I love it.
that
Come
guy.
on now.
So for you probably don't know. In 2019, Jefferson and I were in a wreck together,
Yeah, totally.
and we were down with my lawyers, one of my best friends. And we were down on his partner at the time's lease. So that place was a lease, 7,000 acres, beautiful cabins,
Oh, yeah.
you like cool place.
They had like zebras and shit.
That dude pays $750 a year, $750,000 a year just to lease it. He doesn't own it.
They had zebras and shit.
Exotics.
And but this thing's got a fucking airstrip in the middle. Like
Yeah.
that dude
We
flies.
flew in.
How many acres is
Yeah,
this?
7,000.
7,000.
Yeah, but
we-
the dude we literally flew in a jet and landed, and then like took a golf cart to the fucking cabin. Like
Yeah.
it was a jet. It wasn't like some bullshit, right? Jeez. So, and so I say that because that guy just leases that. So I bought all my ranch, and you were talking about the pecans earlier. I bought this ranch, and I paid $2.5 million for 400 acres, give or take a couple acres, right? Jeez. But we control 800 now. I have double the amount of land, and we pay $2,500 a year for the other 400 acres. I didn't know this, but I could go in and control land for a couple $1,000s a year versus having to fucking own it. I bring us back to that's the American thing, wanting to own everything. It's like, even when I got out there thinking I need to own land, it's like, oh, these farmers don't know what the fuck they're doing. They would have just given this shit to me.
So when you say control, do you mean, are you leasing the land?
Yeah, lease it and control it, just like a car, right? The dealership.
How would a listener benefit from what you just said?
Well, a lot of times people think, if you buy land, for example, it's 40% down right now. So if you go buy $1 million piece of land, you're going to have to pay $400,000 down. Or you go to that same person and get a lease for 50 years with first right of refusal, and you can say, hey, this thing's going to go up 3% a year, so I'll pay you $1,000 a year. It's usually like $4 or $5 an acre because you're only leasing it from them. Yeah. They're not making any money from the fucking land anyway, so as long as you're not tearing it up or doing something crazy out there. And they're used to doing it with cattle farmers. So like with cattle farmers, they lease land everywhere, and they'll go lease for $4 to $8 an acre for the year, $4 to $8 an acre a year, just to leave their cows out there eating grass, right? So I could hit somebody up now, like what we do now is like, hey, we'll bale your hay, so you don't have to go and mow your yard anymore. We're going to sell the hay, but we'll bale it for you so you don't have to pay to mow your yard anymore. We'll manage the property if a fence breaks, if a storm hits and trees tear up. We've got the equipment to move all that shit, and we just want total control of it for the next 5 years. We'll give you $2,000 a year. Done. Fuck, you give me $2,000 right now, you'll pay a year up front.
So zero downside.
Fucking A. Yeah.
Man.
The guy said one thing, this is all he asked me. The last guy we did it from actually gave it to me for free. He goes, if you want to run cows on my property, I'm not farming anything anyway. Just make sure they don't get out and blah, blah, blah. He goes, all I want in exchange is your gate code so that when I go deer hunting, I can cut through your property to get to my deer stand instead of having to walk fucking 3 miles from the road where it is now.
Oh, damn.
Done.
There you go.
It's fucking, here you go.
Value.
Yep.
There you go.
And got it for free.
All I can think is that's the whitest shit ever. Hey, bro, give me the gate code. I'll give you $1,000 a year for that. Ain't gonna happen.
That's
But you know what? You wouldn't do that in Frisco or Southlake, but in Autry, Oklahoma.
No, I mean,
you know what I'm
all
saying?
day.
And this
you get
guy,
land there?
yeah, and this guy's like, he's giving me access to, I think it's 86 acres that he has over there for his part.
Yeah.
He's giving me access to 86 acres. All I got to do is let him drive on my road.
Yeah.
It's not even by my house. My house is on the other side of the property.
Man.
He didn't even pass it. Only thing he could steal from me is a random deer or a fish or a cow, and he ain't gonna get away with Mac watching
You
that
can
place.
do, like, Christmas lights once a year and pay for it, like just a drive-through Christmas light setting, and have sponsorships of like that shit will pay for itself.
3 years ago, Snoop Dogg performed across the street, and they were like, they throw comment like, oh hell no, I almost didn't buy the place, but I talked to the dude, and he's like, we're never doing that again. It was an epic fail. Because I don't want all those fucking people showing up by my place once a year. You know, my neighbors just got caught with 4,000 pounds of marijuana. And weed's legal in Oklahoma.
What's the address?
But weed's legal in Oklahoma, but they were selling it out the back fucking door to people in other states. They're like Korean mob guys. I went over and talked to them.
Oh wow.
I'm trying to buy their shit for like $600 an acre. And he's like, dude, you're trying to rip us off. I'm like, I got to tear down all this shit. I got the feds watching this property, bro. Nobody wants this place. You know, like you have fucking years of toxic plant waste in the fucking corral over there, dude. It's going to take me forever to clean it up. $600 an acre is a ripoff. Ain't nobody else going to buy your shit, bro. Let me know. I'm the only reason I even want your shit's because I share a fence with you and I want to clean it up. You know?
All right, so that makes me think. Like my go-to show right now. I love Tulsa King. What shows are you guys watching right now that's like feeding the inner giant, the inner entrepreneur that's in you?
Man, I'm a redneck. I watch Landman.
We just started it last night.
Landman? Fucking great.
Landman last night.
Wait,
Billy Bob Thornton.
Hey, Allie Larder.
that.
Allie Larder still got it. I'm just saying, she's still hotter than chicken grease, bro. She's been fine for a while. She's still got
Tulsa
it.
King is with Stallone, right?
Yeah,
Right,
that's
I
good.
saw the first episode.
But
I'm
Billy Bob Thornton is Landman, man.
I never.
It just came out. Same writer,
We
Taylor
just started.
Sheridan.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
It's
that-
funny as hell.
Tulsa King gets
on the
my
list.
my inner beast entrepreneurial coming out. I mean, I can always watch Boardwalk and Empire, Godfather of Harlem,
That's a good show.
and you know, I just love shows that
Yeah, man.
I love
like-
Billions.
Oh, that's
until
great.
Mike Prince came in.
I know, right? We stopped
Yeah,
watching it.
Fuck that
I think
guy.
I
Fuck
think
that
I
guy,
like
man.
He ruined the
We
show.
stopped watching it.
Ruined the
Yeah.
show. No one watches anymore.
Axe was the man.
Suits.
We
I like
want,
Suits.
we want
Like
Axe the
Suits?
Ginger
Yeah.
back.
You
I
can't
like Suits a
brand a
lot.
whole
I'm on my
fucking
second
show
season.
around a
Yeah.
badass and then replace the badass.
Yeah, we want Axe the
Yeah.
Ginger back. Let's
That
go.
was almost as bad as the time Superman ended up in a wheelchair. You know what I'm saying? Like, fucked up, man.
I got into Billions, and I think about season 6, I just I like smart shows, and it's super smart, and I just felt like it was almost overkill.
Yeah.
But Suits is.
Oh, dude,
really good.
Suits.
is.
Dude, we were literally.
You told me
I was
about
literally
Suits.
sad when that shit ended, man. I was like, God
They have
damn
another
it,
one coming
man.
out.
Yeah, Suits LA,
Yeah.
right?
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know who's gonna be in it.
If
but-
you hadn't seen Bad Monkey, that's a good one.
That is
Yeah.
funny.
Vince
That's
Vaughn,
funny.
that shit's funny as hell.
Devin didn't
I
really
love
like
Vince
it,
Vaughn,
but
man.
It's
I
a
love
show?
it.
He's
Yeah.
Vince Vaughn is funny.
That's
He's
good.
a smart
But he's
money.
like a
He's
sarcastic smartass, like his
Yeah.
the best role for him in this show, and it's fucking
Really?
funny. It's like the Dukes of Hazzard; they like narrate over it, and you're not going to believe
year
what
was it?
Sammy did next, right? Yeah.
What year? What year?
This year, it's brand new.
It's on right now.
Yeah, it's brand new.
Oh, I love Vince Vaughn.
it's
Hey,
It's
so
on
good.
Apple TV.
So funny.
okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm watching shows that kind of like just like if I think of myself like in my 20s, like when y'all met me, right? Like to me, I was fearless, invincible. I'm still that, but you go back before kids, like I literally never entertained failure, like kicking doors down. I don't ever remember entertaining failure.
I got a question for you. Because this is something we haven't talked about in so many years.
This is what we're here for.
Yeah. So we started working together, over 15 years ago.
2005.
05.
Yeah.
And I remember the thing that you said is like, I got a chip on my shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
So is the chip still there? Where's the chip?
No, I was coming out of if you catch me in the right season, and everything, like just the sun, the stone, and the sun, the moon, the stars line up, and I'm a little pissed off, and I believe in what you're doing, there's absolutely no way we're gonna lose. Yeah. And that's just a different Johnny. Yeah. It all has to line up. And if I got something to prove to the world, it's in your face success.
See, because I asked because back then, you and I both, I don't think had stepped into our power by any means. Like we had succeeded. Yeah. We had made hundreds of thousands, but not millions, right? And so now that you've made millions of dollars and written book after book and traveled all over the world, filled out arenas and all that, like you don't have much to prove anymore. So it's like...
But them bills don't go away, do they?
But the bills don't go away, right? And you've done amazing. The bills were gone at one point. Like the chip drove you back then, as it did me. Yeah. And I feel like now, I don't feel like I have so much to prove, and I wish I did.
You know, I was on a call with Jefferson last night, and I hearing Jefferson like talk, and it just kind of reminds me of, you know, when I find that perfect groove of proving to myself that I can do it. I've really never been in the situation that I think to myself, I need to prove I can do it again. And so now I'm in a situation like where the chip more is to show you I can do it again. I'm not a has-been. And I liken that to artists, to athletes and
relevancy.
Like yeah. And to me, it's a new chip, but it's more of a calculated chip. I've never been in a situation where I can calculate my comeback. And normally I couldn't calculate. I just had to go. Right now, I am calculating a comeback, which I like it. I don't feel rushed. I don't feel, and I like feeling rushed. Yeah. I like that feeling of like that synergy and that urgency, but it's something to be calculated. You know, when you can calculate it, you know, when you're young, you fight with your strength. When you're older, you fight with your mind, and it's almost like, you know, Johnny or John is meeting Johnny. You know, like that blend of wisdom and strength at the exact same time. So it's almost like I'm exercising a new muscle that doesn't feel like I have to be so rushed, because I know I know when it happens, the whole world's going to talk about it. But typically, the whole world talked about it because how fast I did it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. Yeah. And then I go back to, because I know your situation in the past, and I know my situation in the past of like living out of my car and being, you know, all of my credit cards, 5 credit cards charged off and homeless. And, you know, like it was an intensity of like, I have to go all in right like now. Yeah. And it's like, you know, now we don't have to work so hard. It's like, if I bust my ass today, cool. If I don't, I'm cool.
I miss it. I really do. Sometimes I miss that all or nothing type mindset, that kill or be eaten, like just like no, like, if you don't make it to the other side, you're just a victim, and you're gonna be eaten up in, you know, in the dirt road. Now, I still have that, and I still crave it, but it's the calculation is it's a thrill to me to be able to calculate the rebound. If I were to write a book right now, I don't even know to tell you what the name is, but it would. I'll tell you, I don't care. Nobody can do what I can do. If I were to write a book right now, it would be called Slingshot Success. Because you think about a slingshot. A slingshot, the further you can pull it back right before the release, like the further before it snaps, right? And you let it go, the trajectory has momentum and extraordinary power. I know what it's like to be in the slingshot right now.
Yeah, we talk about the same thing in Apex. We call it the catapult. Same thing. There's like a point right before you cut that line.
You go right before the closer you can get to the point of it breaking. The trajectory and the momentum coming out of it. So if I were to write another book right now, it would be called Slingshot Success.
You know, Matt, I'm 2-3 years ago sitting with a billionaire friend of mine, and I'm asking him cliche questions, but and I've known the guy for a long time, but I've seen his success rise in the last few years. And I asked him a question. He said, Stewman, the biggest threat to being a millionaire is being a millionaire, because you motherfuckers get comfortable. You think you've made it, and you stop wanting what's next, and you start getting everything you want, and you fucking tap out of the fucking game. There's very few of us that go on to fucking get a B. And he's right. You're right. Because, I'm at a place where, and I know you guys are too, where like I don't have a car payment. Technically I got one now because I just bought that Hummer yesterday. I leased it, but
the electric one.
Yeah, but
did you get the big 240 volt plug-in thing? Like rewire?
I want to drive that.
Well, it turns out there's one in the garage here at work, so I'm still plugging into the one in the garage.
It's the only car I don't have any emotional attachment to any car I've ever had.
Me neither.
But my 2008 Hummer. Oh my God, I miss it.
Well, there's something. Mike Reese had one, and I always just wanted one. Mike Reese, he had one with the Mike Reese home selling team on it, and I'm like, one of these days when I'm rich, I'm gonna get a fucking Hummer. And that was 20 fucking years ago, right?
Yeah,
and I bought one Monday. And by the way, it's because they're offering 10, 11 grand off MSRP, 0% financing. I'm like, they're trying to give these away. I'm gonna get one. So then when I plugged it in to the charger, it said it'd be ready Tuesday. That was yesterday, bro. I'm like, this is why they can't sell.
It's Thursday, by the way. It's Thursday.
Any self-made millionaire. I don't know any self-made millionaire that can wait till Tuesday.
Yeah, like this is why they can't sell these motherfuckers. Yeah, okay.
Thursday.
Bro, you should have seen me and my 12-year-old son Asher were in the thing. We plugged it in for the first time. I said, Tuesday? What the fuck? And he goes, Tuesday? Like, dude,
that's like Viagra not working.
Bro, until Tuesday. I'm on a date on Friday night.
Yeah, man.
Oh, man, that's a letdown.
Lucky for me, I got fucking 6 other cars. But I'm just like, fuck,
if somebody
man.
told me they were a millionaire today and they were a first-time millionaire, I'd be like, man, you're going to have some major bills. Like, it doesn't sound like, it sounds like success. But it doesn't sound
a millionaire sounds rich. $1 million, you know how fast it goes, bro.
Yeah.
There was a guy that called Dave Ramsey one time. It was on a reel. And he goes, well, I'm about to inherit $2 million.
Gone.
And Dave goes, okay, cool. What are you going to do with it? He goes, well, I'm going to buy a house that's $600 grand.
Gone.
I'm going to buy a Mercedes-Benz, $120,000. And
gone.
The dude, I'm going to go on vacation with me and 15 fucking real. Dude just listed like maybe 10 things, and that fucking $2 million was down to 300 grand.
Yeah. And then there's the taxes on the house. And everything. It's you're going to be in the hole.
I would rather live in an apartment and have $2 million than have $2 million and act like I have $2 million.
Well, there was a guy a few years ago, Alex Becker. He used to live here in Dallas, and he moved to Austin, and he pissed me off over some little petty bullshit.
I remember that
and he moved to Austin. He sold his Ferrari and he had like a $2 million house in Uptown, which is probably worth $10 million now. You know what I mean? When he sold it, it was terrible timing.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, this guy's fucking going out of business, right? Because he had lived that, and I see it now because I watch his YouTube videos, but he had lived that. I had the Ferrari, I had the fancy place in Uptown, blah, blah, blah. Moved to Austin, this dude's sleeping on a beanbag with a fucking desk, nothing else. He bought a nice place. He rented a high-rise penthouse, kind of like what I had in Dallas, and he had literally a beanbag and no couch, no bed. And he's like, I'm going to fucking be a minimalist and I'm just going to build this shit. I need to get uncomfortable. He broke up with his girlfriend, all this shit. 3 years later, $110 million fucking sale of his company.
I love it.
So
So that makes me. So that makes me
Heroes. Yep. Heroes. I think it's heroes is how you actually
Heroes.
Yeah.
I've said heroes for years.
Do you remember my house in Hollywood?
Heroes.
I had a house in Hollywood Hills.
To it. Heroes. That's the E.
So that's like is it a gyro?
It's a euro.
A euro?
So-
No one knows. It's
just
a
a
euro,
euro.
I think.
So that reminds me, like for a millionaire, let's say to become a decamillionaire or whatever, it's
That's where it's at.
You got to find that necessity, right? That and that's where high performers do. They figure how do you turn it back on to the next level, and that's where you have to tap into your purpose. You have to tap into what is that next level for yourself, and that's not natural for anybody. You know, it's like once you're satiated, once you eat the steak, once you have the eggs, once you have the waffle, whatever it is, oh, it feels good. But it's the high performers. It's that next level person that goes, okay, how can I create more necessity for myself? How can I create more eustress, which is the good stress, right? That puts you in a position to perform, right? And that's not normal. Like who fucking does that? Well, it's the weirdos like us. It's the weirdos like the people that are listening right now that want to go like, well, fuck it, man. I'm listening to these guys. I know I got it. I know I want to go to the next level. How do I do it? Well, you got to be fucking crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like you got to create, like, how do I create necessity in myself? Go minimalist. Go like break up with your girlfriend, whatever. I mean,
that was
whatever
his
he
way
did,
of doing Hell Week, or you know what I'm saying?
That was his way.
That was his way of going and putting himself through the crucible to see what he was made
trimming
of.
the fat. Like you're cutting the fat out, and you're just getting bound down to the raw meat of things, and you go to work. I remember I would train and teach people. We built distribution teams around the world. And someone hit a certain level of success, and the worst thing you can do is slow down and when the last person is clapping in the room, you need to be gone working. And it's the problem is when you slow down to listen to that last clap, that last person who's celebrating you as you're walking across the stage, you should never hear that clap. You should be gone working. It's what I call peak to peak. You hit a peak. You
use that momentum.
PEAK, so you can PEEK. You peak to the next mountain. You peak to the next. And I think that a lot of times we slow down and we celebrate ourselves too long. And when I was the age that you guys are talking about, I never heard the last clap. I never heard the last person cheering for me because I was already starting the next climb. And I think that was my superpower. My superpower was not listening to the last 20% of people celebrating my success. I was already gone. Mentally, I was out of the room, and I was working for that next hurrah, that next peak.
I never felt like sticking around for people to celebrate for me either, because I never really felt worthy. First of all, I feel like I got way more to prove,
Yeah.
So
well, there are industries like real estate, home-based businesses. There are industries that's the culture.
Yeah.
The culture is like you do that. And I have no problem with that. The problem is a high level peak performer should never be the last person in the room hearing themselves being celebrated.
Yeah, I agree. And what gets also hard about the millionaire being the biggest threat to being a millionaire is you get to a point where I do this every year. What's it cost for me to live my dream year? And
say that again.
What's it cost to live my dream year? Okay. So let's go back 8 years ago. Okay. My dream year, right? Like to live my dream life every day for a year. So what's my dream year going to look like? What vacations I want to take, what foods I want to eat, what nights I want to date, what places I want to do, what do I want to own, blah, blah, blah. Well, probably 5 years ago, my dream year probably took $3 million to fuel. Now it's like $600,000-$700,000 because I've done most of that stuff.
Yeah.
There's not very many things. I don't have a bucket list, but if I have one, it would be hard to make.
Yeah.
Because I've already done all the cool shit I've ever thought about doing. Right. Second of all, I already own the house, already own the cars. So the things that I bought years ago are now I don't have payments for anymore. You know what I mean? And so I already bought the ranch, already have the building. So all these things that I could check off my box. So my ability to live becomes cheaper because I already own some of these things. Right. And so therefore the problem that a guy like me could face is like, well, I don't have to work as hard because my life doesn't cost as much.
You know, it's crazy. Like if I were watching this right now, I would want to ask us, what's a peak experience? And I know me, like I've been on stage in Nazareth. I've been on stage in Perth, Australia, and Singapore, and South Africa, and Prague, and being on stage and having 17 translations going on at one time. You know what's crazy is, minus my family, Fiji, Cloud9.
Yeah, that was a blast. Good time.
Like, to me, man, that was a moment, dude. Like, I think about that moment.
Did all of us get wedgies when we jump into the water? Because that was like a forced 5-story drop.
So you go out, like, you're
drinking kava with the
You're
chief.
in Fiji, you get on a boat, and you go out 45 minutes, at least a 45-minute boat ride, and there's a bar in the
floating
middle
bar
of the ocean.
Yeah.
And like alcohol?
Yeah, like it's a full, and it's
somebody's working there.
Food story. You're jumping off the top and
fucking A. That's
awesome,
bro.
Crystal clear water.
Cloud9.
And I think about that, man. Like that to me was a moment where you're like, there's no way that I would ever thought that I would have been able to experience like this. Battered women shows is my first memory in life, right? Raised around gangs and violence and drugs, felony arrest, like. Brother did 40 years in prison. The only difference is I didn't get caught.
Johnny took me to his neighborhood he grew up in, and I go, we got to get the fuck out of here, man.
we keep it moving.
Where'd you grow up?
Fort Worth, like right over here. Like
north side?
South side, stop 6.
Yep.
And I think about club, I don't know why, like I think about Cloud9. What do you think about?
What do I think about?
Like you think about like everywhere we've been around the world, you've been around the world, the highest level of success. And it's not the most extravagant, but man, Cloud9, bro, it just stands out to me. Cloud9 in Fiji.
I remember after Cloud9, we were
the sandbar.
We were going back in the sandbar.
Sandbar.
It was the most beautiful.
That was
thing
so cool.
Where we just.
I knew you were gonna say that.
White sandbar and. Just like
listen, there's no land anywhere. Like and you're just walking on a sandbar.
Yeah.
And it's just like you would think, Nelson Mandela Square or the safaris, like we were in
but you gotta think about it. That's just stuff that's like, okay, cool, there's history and you're in the middle of the city, but it's just so that Fiji thing was probably a moment for you.
What's yours?
You were bonding with people. So I have a lot, of really, just like you guys, it's really hard to nail down one, but in my office there is a picture that was taken at this event, and it was just like, maybe it wasn't the best thing that I've ever done or the greatest thing I've ever experienced or whatever, but it was that moment where I was like, fuck, I made it.
Right.
Like, got a little money, got my shit together. How the fuck I wound up here? Like, fuck, I made it, and I was, I was given a free pass to a mastermind as long as I was a trainer there. So they say, you come in and you speak once a quarter, we'll give you access to this mastermind. It's like $100,000 or whatever, right? And I did the mastermind for like 3 years and met a lot of cool people. Well, like year 2 of this, I had showed up better than the other trainers. The other trainers, this is a little cheat code in life for those listening. The other trainers half-assed it, didn't think nothing of it, fucked it off. Man, I showed up, so people were always like, Stewman changed my life in the session we were within him, right? So they're always like, we can't afford to fucking lose this guy. Now we got to get him $100,000 membership every year, okay? So I, year 2, we're at this meetup, and we go to, like, year 1, we were at Dan Bilzerian's house, just to put it in perspective, right? So, like, year 2, we're at the meetup, and we go to Justin Bieber's house. Now, Justin's not there, right? But it's a house that he owns, and it's his house when he's in LA. And we're down on the ground floor of this, first of all, you've seen this house in movies before. It's in a lot of movies. Hollywood records a lot of shit there. It's in a lot of TV shows.
Yeah.
So if you saw the house, you'd be like, oh yeah, I've seen that, and it's somewhere, right? And so it's a weird house, right? And the reason why I think Hollywood records there is because there's like a wraparound balcony around the whole thing where you could shoot down into the main floor for parties and stuff like that. So I'm on this main floor with the party, and they announce that, hey, we're about to have our, performer for the night come in. It's motherfucking Nas. And so Nas walks in and he performs, And after he's done performing, he's like, anybody got any requests? I'll do 2 or 3 requests and I'll get the fuck out of here. And I was like, hey man, play YKTV. And he had just dropped his latest album. And that song's like a banger if you never listened to it, right? And he's like, oh shit, you're a fan of my new stuff? You ain't just like, 'cause he's thinking everybody else just heard Jesus Walks and everything else, right? And he's like, oh, you're still a fan all these years. Like, I just dropped that album. He wasn't saying this, but he's like, oh, you're with it like that. Oh, I got you. And this dude rapped that song looking on his phone because he didn't even know the lyrics because it was that new of a song, and fucking pulled it off. And I'm from here to Monaco from him, and he's just like fucking pointing to me and my wife. We're fucking drunk as shit,
right
being
there.
fucking Stewmans. And I'm like, man, I'm in Justin Bieber's house in LA with fucking Nas, smoking weed, getting drunk, fucking song requesting shit that I want to hear in front of all these there's Bugattis out front and shit. And I'm like,
Hollywood
fuck
Hills.
me, man. This is a minute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to go to sleep that night.
Man. That's crazy.
And it wasn't about money. It wasn't like the moment my first million or my first. And I was like, nah, fuck, dude.
And I
these
think that's
people
what the listeners
invited
want to
me
hear.
somewhere.
Yeah.
They want to hear
Yeah.
like
That's
what
awesome.
was the moment where we sat back. It's like, wow,
Like they think I belong in this house. Nobody's watching me. I'm used to going places and people be like, keep an eye on Stu and he steals.
Yeah.
And I never stole nothing, but I'm like that guy for some fucking reason. And
Why are everybody looking at me?
He looks like him.
dude, I did go
Watch out for them white boys.
upstairs and look around because I'm exploratory, right? I'm like Dora, like Exploradora, right? Like I just be walking around and checking shit out. And I walked in one of the rooms and there was like 4 or 5 people in there half naked doing some blow and shit. And I was like,
It wasn't did
this
it.
is exactly what I expected to be down here. I'm not
man, I got
fuck,
a
I'm not a
story.
narc. You guys fucking have fun, guys. Like, fuck yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Right?
What about you?
Well, with the family,
You've hit the top. You've been around the world. You've been on stages. Minus family. Jefferson Santos, personal. What moment, like, where you just looked out and said, "I can't believe this"?
The moment I met Ryan Stewman at Starbucks.
With
That was a good
Wait,
one.
you
That
guys
was a
meet
good
at Starbucks?
yeah.
We met at Party City.
Well, I saw all y'all the same
Parking
night
lot.
speak, and then I ended up connecting with him a couple.
Oh yeah, he
weeks
told me the
later.
story.
Yeah. So Cloud Now was a big one. The one with family keeps on coming up. Let me just say that. So
Go for it.
I was, my dad was a type A personality, detailed type A personality. Always told me to get a good job and stuff like that. So when I went off on the entrepreneur path, he was just always kind of like in the judging kind of energy. But I was able to take him, my parents, my kids, my wife on the largest cruise ship in the world back in 2019.
I remember that.
And, took some video guys to kind of film it all and just wanted to do like just a fun, like with the vacation song and all that. And that was a fun time because we went to a lot of places. I got to live vicariously through my kids. And then as we watched the video, like literally my sons, every couple of weeks, can we watch the video again? Can we watch the video again? And so they get to live it again.
That's dope.
And that's a really fun thing. And then for me, it's like, I like to document stuff because I want to live it again and then live it again. And
cool.
Bill Perkins talks about this. He's the guy that wrote the book Die with Zero.
Yeah.
It's the memory dividend, right? It's the memory dividend you get from going and then the conversations you have about it. And now I'm reliving it right now, sharing it with you guys. I'm living it again. So I'm having that feeling that's anchored in my soul.
That's cool.
And so it's like, right now, it's like, even if it's the simple thing of being at your kid's sports game, right, or whatever it is, if you integrate that, because we are what we integrate, right, you're going to have a million of those moments. And another time, though, was it was a time where
Should I tell this story or not?
Yeah.
You know what you're thinking?
Yeah. This was
it's a lot, man. It's a lot. I mean, it's going to come up. There's a lot like flying through,
Yeah.
And it's like,
you're making me think of one.
This
He's
is
swiping
one.
left and right on those ideas.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's stuff. Okay, here's the one.
It's what?
So my wife had an idea of we were going to do a surprise wedding at the house. So we had a Christmas party This is December 2011. And we had a Christmas party, and she's like, we know all these people, you know, they think they're more friends with us than we are with them. Like, how do we do this? We got people all around the world. So let's do a Christmas party, and then we'll do a surprise wedding in the middle of the Christmas party.
That was fun.
So we did that. So halfway, so she's in a red dress, like she looks amazing.
I forgot about that.
So yeah, dude. So like we're having a Christmas party. It's all decked out, right? At the house.
I remember that.
And then she escapes upstairs and changes into her wedding dress. Nobody knows what's going on. So then I get to the bottom of the stairs. I'm like, hey, everybody, let's have a toast. Everybody get over here.
Wow.
And then we play that Brian McKnight song. And then her and her dad come downstairs, and they're like, everybody's like, what's going on? And all of a sudden they see her coming down the stairs in a wedding dress, and everybody just goes ape shit.
That's crazy.
That was amazing.
I was there.
Dude.
Wow.
Yeah, you guys
That
were there.
sounds fucking awesome.
That was a
I didn't know you that well
It was
back
a
then to get an
surprise
invite, but
wedding.
that sounds fucking awesome.
Surprise wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
That's like
So,
the greatest
I've never even
idea
heard
ever.
about a surprise wedding
I wanna
before.
hear-
You're the only one.
You invented it. You invented the surprise
That's
wedding.
fucking awesome.
All right,
How do I not know
I'm
that
gonna
about
piggyback, and I
you
want to
guys?
from that. I'm gonna piggyback. So one time, so we were doing an event. I was leaving out of South Africa, Johannesburg, and then we went to Rome, and we did an event. So I did back-to-back events. And in Rome, my family flew in to come to Rome. And I remember them walking through the hotel, entering in, and I just remember that moment. Like I flew my family in from America to meet me in Rome so we can go out of Rome on a 12-day cruise.
Oh, that's some bougie shit
So
right there.
yeah, come on. So I'm coming from South Africa. You were there. I'm coming from South Africa. We're speaking. I think maybe you were there too. And then we're doing Rome. I know Monica was there for sure. So we did South Africa and then the Rome event. And then after Rome, we went on a cruise. And I'm like, as you tell that story, I'm like, dude, my family met me in Rome.
That's crazy.
In between South Africa, and then we went out on a 12-day cruise. Like, I'm from the hood, bitch.
Speaking of Rome,
So's fucking
remember when
Jefferson.
you and I were in Rome together on a tour? Oh my God. We had the lady with the...
It wasn't that way
remember
when we
she
lived
had
there, but it's the
okay,
most
yeah.
dangerous
red
neighborhood in
umbrella.
Dallas.
I don't
right
do
now.
good on
we were like, we cannot do this tour.
I don't do good on tours. I normally, I suck on tours, but yeah, I get kicked out.
We got on the bus and your wife was not on. So we're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
where the hell is Crystal?
Yeah. You remember I got on the microphone? We were in Pisa?
Yeah.
No. We were in
We were in Rome, weren't we?
where the volcano happened.
Vesuvius. Vesuvius, right? Pompeii.
Pompeii.
Yeah.
And I got on we're in a large tour group. And I'm like, I can't do it, Matt. I'm not gonna make it. So I go up to the tour guide and I get his microphone, like, hey babe, I'm gonna be at the bar. I'll see you at the end of the tour. And like everybody, like 100 people heard what I said, but she knew who I was talking to.
Yeah.
I didn't make it. All right, Matt, you're turn. What's the moment for you, man? Like I made it, bitches.
It's hard because I mean I've been to 84 countries now. Like there's so many of these moments, but like the peak moment.
Damn, I hadn't even been to 84 states.
I've been to more countries than I have states.
Me too.
That's great.
Was Kilimanjaro, climbing Kilimanjaro.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Remember that story.
Did you climb it like you went to the motherfucking top? Or
Yeah.
did you
No, they did.
Climbed it.
You
top,
They did.
top.
All right.
You know, here's what's interesting. There were 14 guys. I called you, and I remember what you told me. I go, hey man, you want to climb Kilimanjaro? You go, black people don't climb mountains.
I already knew.
And all their tour guys were black.
Yeah. Were they?
100%.
Yeah, it's like,
Oh, yeah.
but I'm
All
like,
the
listen,
borders,
Where is
everything.
Kilimanjaro?
we don't have to invent.
Africa?
Tanzania.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tanzania.
All
It's the highest freestanding mountain in the world. Not the highest altitude.
They
but-
came back with some incredible stories.
Oh, man.
We almost lost a few.
Not American black.
Dude, we seriously,
We almost lost a few.
almost died.
Really?
Only
Yeah, it's
50%.
crazy.
This was
The
such an
people,
amazing story because it's about a 50 to 60% success rate. And there was a group of German
Wait,
athletes.
Does that mean does that mean 40% die, or they just
No,
walk back down?
no.
walk
They
back
go
down.
back. About
Okay,
half.
all right.
Half don't make it to the top.
I would have been totally
I'm
cool.
like, that is not some
Yeah.
rich people
Going
shit.
back
Like, you
down.
don't take that kind of risk.
They got hot chocolate at the bottom. I'll see y'all later.
Yeah. Donuts.
No, but this story is pretty powerful.
They were a group of German university athletes. So they were all like, soccer players at the university, right? And they were football for them.
Do you remember that we did not Tybo? What was T25?
Oh, God.
We were on a dream. We were on a leadership trip or something. And Matt comes to the room and he has this oxygen mask on, like totally taped to his face. And he thinks he's going to finish T25 because he's preparing for Kilimanjaro. Yeah. I'm like, bro, you probably should take that off. He's like, I mean, like, I thought he was going to die.
You need to prepare for this.
So I helped prepare him for Kilimanjaro, but go ahead.
I probably wouldn't have made it without you, bro.
Johnny's like the old white guy from Rocky.
So I invite like 14 of us, just business guys. And I was like, my pitch was like, you know, hey, you want to climb Kilimanjaro? It's no big deal, man. There's like an easy,
that was a quick phone call.
No big deal. And so I got people to say yes just because they're
anything
like,
that starts with Killa is. We don't speak that language. We don't know what the fuck a Manjala is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know what the fuck.
So after we all like booked the trip, then I realized, oh shit, this is hard. So I better prepare. Well, most of the guys didn't, apparently.
Yeah, he locked in.
So I got an oxygen mask.
He locked in.
It's like, oh, shit.
14,
15, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Way before that. Yeah.
Before Corona.
So anyway, we were like, oh, damn, these guys, they're doing like stretches and warm-ups and all this. And we're like, we don't know what to do, and they're all young. And,
the Wim Hof method.
They're doing like blood tests and oxygen tests before, and crazy because they went the day before us. We met at the base camp after, and all 14 of us made it. Now, 2 almost legit almost died, but all 14 of us, 14 out of 14 made it. 100% of our group, just business guys, right?
Yeah.
And in their group. And when we asked them at the end, because we saw them as they were leaving, and they go, how did your group do? And they're like, yeah, most of us made it. Several of them didn't make it to the top. These are like 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that didn't make it.
Yeah.
And it was like, had nothing to do with your athletic ability, had everything to do with your heart and your head, right?
How many feet up is that?
Oh, it's like 8, what is
it's
it?
The highest,
19,000.
Right?
It's not the highest. It's the highest freestanding mountain. Like it's the highest climb. It's highest in Africa. It's the highest climb.
I remember when y'all came back. Y'all didn't come back the same person.
No, it was
every
different.
single one of you guys came back different.
What was weird is it was 6 days. It was 4 or 5 days up, and then like 2 days down. Shit. And your phone doesn't work. And it's the only 6-7 days that I actually unplugged.
Mm-hmm. And you're probably just focused on fucking living.
Yeah. Right. And you're going for like 8-9 hours a day. You're hiking.
The ability to climb the mountain, how scary is that? Like, is there some fucked up situation where you're on like straight down?
No, you're not. It's not like that. It's altitude sickness. It's altitude sickness.
Yeah. Okay.
But I've seen videos, recent videos where like,
I see some of those videos where there's like a fucking 500-foot drop off and they're on some metal splinters on the side of that shit. Or whatever.
That's more like Everest or K2.
Yeah. I'm like, no.
You guys all came back different.
We got started late. I had altitude sickness the night before. A bunch of us did. And the whole thing was like pole, which in whatever language, not Zulu. Swahili, it means like slow down. Mm-hmm. So pole, the whole time you got to go slow.
So breathing.
And so we had a guy fall out, and the guide went back with him, and we were up front, and we were like, oh, let's go fast. So we go fast, and we got to base camp, and I was like throwing up, like, oh man, bad, like the worst hangover you've ever had.
Depressurizing.
And then so we get up there at like 7 p.m. at night. You summit at like midnight. So you try to get a few hours sleep, and then you summit at midnight. And
damn,
man, we were like, so we ended up going late. So a bunch of people went before us. So we start summiting at like 2 a.m. And you want to go early because it gets like really hot, and you want to go when it's cool and all this. And so we're going up. We're like 2 hours in, and our buddy Dave we're all like sick.
Who's athletic,
He's like a machine. This guy is like super athlete, you know?
Yeah.
And he gives a motivational talk, and all I can think is, shut the fuck up, man. Like, I don't want to hear a motivational talk right now. We got like my buddy Troy is throwing up.
Who's a doctor.
Who's a doctor.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we just keep going and going and going. And I remember there's a sign, and you think you're at the top. And you're like, oh, that's it. That's it. And you're like, oh, not much longer. And you finally get there, and that's not the top.
Wow.
There's another, like, you got to keep going. And I remember
sign's like 500 miles more.
I'm so fucking down. Like, oh, damn, I don't know. Like, I believed I could make it to that sign, but now there's another sign, you know? And I was like, fuck. So I just sat there and feeling like, damn, I just want to quit and go down. And I was like, what would my kids think of me if I quit right now? And so I got up and I was walking with Eric Allen, and we're walking with him. And I just remember like, man, I'm tearing up thinking, man, I can't quit, because one day I'll tell this story to my kids. And if I quit, I'm going to look bad to them. And it was like, I'm going to do it for them. And, you know, I just like got so inspired, and we just kept going. And, you know, you're the altitude sickness and all that, but we just made it, you know, we finally got there, and you're kind of celebrating at the top. I don't know, it was another couple hours or something.
Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't that far,
So
but you're feeling so bad. Every step is painful because of the altitude sickness. You're like 19,000 feet at this point, right? And so it's just like, you're just going step to step, you know. We finally make it, and I remember being at the top, and there were a couple other guys. We stayed up there longer than we should, because you don't want to stay in the high altitude too long. You want to come back down. But we're like, man, we're going to milk this with, you know, videos and all that. And we see a couple of the guys who didn't train at all. And they're just like, they keep going. And they had thrown up over and over and over. And they kept making, it was just the will. It was the will to win.
So
who seeing all of us made it.
Altitude sickness feel like?
Like, your brain is bigger than your skull. Like, your brain is being expanded.
Like a sinus
massive headache, like a migraine kind of thing. Bad hangover almost.
Not getting enough oxygen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn.
That's enough.
What's the tallest mountain?
Everest.
So I have
people
a
die
lady,
a lot there. So
I've seen
I
videos
have a
recently
lady
on
who
that.
wants to come speak at an Apex event, and she summited Everest and then like put a first form flag up there.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
This is pretty cool.
wow, that's awesome.
A first
I mean,
form.
if you've
Do you
done
know first form?
Everest,
I shall introduce you afterwards. So change your life. They should pay me, you know. Andy, Sal, I just love you guys, and we're, you know, just looking out for you because you got good shit. But I send them a lot of business because they're a great company. But so she's one of their athletes. So they're a company that sponsors athletes. So she went all the way to, so I'm talking to her on the phone, and I'm like, so, you know, how long does it take you to get up there? She's like, 6 months.
Shit.
Like,
what?
not 6 months of training, 6 months of climbing. You're at 19,000. It's 36,000 to the top of Everest.
24, isn't it? I thought it was 24.
It's in the 30s. It's higher than you fly an airplane.
6 months.
And so I could be
because
wrong,
you have
but
to
it's
gradually,
where you
I guess,
fly an
maybe.
airplane.
Yeah.
And it's maybe it's 24.
So they have base camps, or they have like
And that-
running water, hotels in between.
She said no. She said you just keep going up, and they have.
So you ain't wipe your ass for real for
certain
6
points,
months.
If you don't reach this place, like shit doesn't happen. Like, you know, there's only certain camping spots. So if you don't reach that by the end of the day, you're fucked on the mountain climbing through the night or whatever the case. I talked to her for a long time, and she seemed like, wow, this guy's really inquisitive. He's like asking me a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
But not that I wanted to do it. I'm just sitting here like thinking in my mind. First of all, you guys need to all three know something very important about me. I fucking hate the cold. Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking what it takes to get up this thing and how fucking cold it is.
So you got black in your family.
I get cold in airplanes. Yes, I do. I get cold in airplanes, like fucking, let alone outside of one, you know.
Fuck
that
that.
time we went to Montana, two things fucked me up at dinner. A, I don't think I'd experienced shit that cold before because I'm not used to it. And second of all, they said, if you see a black bear, don't worry. What the fuck do you mean, don't worry? All right. First of all, I'm freezing cold. I'm too busy shivering to run. Second of all, like, what do you mean there's black bears around here? Like, oh, shit.
Dude, they like frozen meat.
Yeah, they're like, don't even worry about it. They're friendly. I'm like, I'm not buying. You know how many YouTube videos start out that way?
Yeah.
Like, fuck you guys.
I'm not even friendly when I'm cold.
Yeah, me
Fucking black bear. That's good, man.
We went snow skiing together one time, didn't we?
I went snow skiing with Jefferson.
You didn't go with me?
Yeah, man.
I swear we went on a ski
My first
trip.
time skiing. We got off the ski lift and it was like,
Dude, Craig Sweet.
Everybody, we're
Craig
all
Sweet
tangled
had a
up and
big,
shit.
you know how big Craig was, right?
He whizzed right by me.
He had a
30
red
miles an
suit
hour.
on. He was Hey Kool-Aid coming down that bitch. He had a red ski. I mean, it was hilarious.
It was the best funeral I've
he
ever
came by
been
me
to.
at 30 miles an hour.
Craig
I would have
Sweet's-
been dead.
On the bunny slopes.
Oh, man. Yeah, he was
Dude,
coming
no,
down.
he
man.
died, but
We got some stories.
that was the best funeral I've ever been to.
Really?
Craig's.
All right, so you got to
His
tell us about
son,
this experience.
Cameron Sweet. You need to look this
Yeah.
guy up, man. Follow Cameron Sweet.
Cameron
this guy
is
so
a good kid.
Yeah.
Dang.
Actually, he can run your entire. He could be Monaco Jr.
What is he around here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen that name.
Yeah.
Or Craig Sweet, like he was just one of us, man. I miss that guy.
Good guy.
Miss that guy.
Yeah, for sure.
We lost
I've
him.
never been skiing. Like, I've been to the mountains, I've been to ski resorts, but I never looked up there and went, yeah. I want to do that.
Oh, man. I
just-
love skiing.
One time, Mike
Susan.
Reese was like, we got a helicopter. We're going to drop him from the top of the mountains. It's going to be like 7 a.m. I'm like, bro, I'm about to sleep in and smoke this blunt, and I'll see you guys at the meeting at 9.
I'll be at the hot tub at the bottom, man.
Like,
Like,
hell no.
I always wanted to go helicopter skiing.
oh my god, you just jump out and
Drop on
go.
top. I'm not a good enough skier. to
I've never
do
even
it.
been in a ski in, ski out situation.
No?
If it's got a motor on it, I'm good. Like, I'll take
Yeah.
I don't like snowmobiles because it's fucking cold again, but I can operate one of those or whatever. But skis,
I'm dysfunctional. The colder it gets, the more dysfunctional I am.
No.
Like I'm not friendly. I'm not happy to be around. I ain't trying to mess up nobody's day.
Yeah.
Just leave me at the bar.
I
Yeah.
don't like the cold. Every time this time of year I'm at the ranch, first thing I do, light a bonfire. If I'm gonna be out there, I want to at least have something burning to where I can get around it. So we built a little fire pit out there. First thing I do, pour gas on that shit and light some wood on fire.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind a flame.
We,
I'm down with flames.
I didn't tell you this, Jefferson, but Jackson went hunting by himself for the first time last Saturday. So he's killed 7 deer so far. The dude's a little assassin, but at 13, he hits me up and he goes, Dad, we need to go. This is last 2 weeks ago. We need to go to the ranch tomorrow. I want to set up our feeder and put blah, blah, blah on it and build a fence around it. And I'm like, all right, look, you going to do this? Yes. You buy the materials. I'll put it together. All right,
Wow.
cool. Take him out there. Well, that turned out to be bullshit, but I expected that.
I was impressed.
Only because he wasn't strong enough to lift the shit. So he could barely hold a fence panel up, and he was trying, you know what I mean? But, we ranching in 2024, right? I'm very proud of this moment. And so instead of getting my old rancher, he's like, yeah, I brought a T-post driver. We'll put these posts. Like, the fuck we are. I grabbed my skid steer with the bucket on it, and I was like, just hold on to the T-post. And he's like, what? I put the bucket on top of it and pushed those bitches about 3 foot down into the ground. So instead of hammering for 7 feet, we only fucking used the tractor to push it down, right?
Nice.
I built that whole fence myself in probably 20 minutes, right? Like, fucking tractor, boom, boom. Would have been a whole day affair. Set up his feeder, got him set up with a tree blind where he's right above him. But, he's young. He doesn't know. We should have done this shit 6 months ago and had him already coming in. And the neighbor, who's the guy that I was telling you that I lease his land, but he needs my gate code, that guy has already got his blind set up maybe 1,000 yards down the way facing the other direction. So I don't tell Jax any of this shit, right? So the next morning, next week we go by. Friday night we get out there, and you two haven't been there, but you have. We're at Party Lake on the pavilion, got a bonfire going. It's me, Jimmy, and Jackson. Jimmy gets so goddamn drunk. He's a buddy of mine from up there. Like, 1 minute he's there, 1 minute he's gone. He's like an Irish goodbye in the middle of the ranch, right? I'm like,
I call that the Wimbrey.
I said,
disappear.
my homeboy knows he's got just enough to make it home because he live around the corner. So, you could have drove through a field to get there. And so me and Jack's sitting there. next morning we stayed at the Indian casino up the street, right? And this place is brand new. And so me and Jax, it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock by the time we get there and check in. And we're hungry. So we sit down. There's some great people watching
right now.
in one of those fucking Oklahoma casinos, bro. Me and Jax were having deep conversations about people all in there. But anyway, so next morning I drop his ass off. First of all, he forgot his rifle.
Oh.
Yep. So second of all,
that's a hunting issue.
And
You
he's
got
going
darts.
by himself. You know what I mean? So this is his own thing. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm just showing up to open up the gate for him and drop him off in the morning. But he got to back up from Jimmy, so he goes back out there by himself. And I'm thinking, I go to the lake and Party Lake and just chilling in the heat while he's out there freezing his balls. I'm thinking he got 15 minutes max. Shit, 2 hours go by. Pop, 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 pop. Oh shit, what'd you get? He goes, Dad, it's the damn neighbor. He's out there before me and he's running all the deer off. I guess he's already got one. And I'm like, oh shit, that sucks, man. But just stay there in case one of them runs your way. Stay there another hour or so.
Shit.
I caught 15 fish in that hour, by the way. I couldn't fucking put them. I couldn't throw without catching some. I didn't catch shit after that. But within that next hour, then he come back walking across the wheat field and he's like, damn it, man, my first year, I didn't make it. And I'm like, well, you know, you learn something. We're going to go to Sammy's later on and he'll make it up. But it was cool for him to go out there. His first time to see your like son turn into, he got his own gun, he got his own camouflage. He's sitting out there doing his own thing. It's dark as hell. You know, what am I going to, he told me night before, what am I going to do if I see pigs? Well, here's the thing. Yeah, they could bite you or eat you or whatever the case may be. But if they don't run up on you, don't start firing on them. Because as soon as you pull the trigger on that thing and it makes noise, you ain't going to shoot a fucking deer. You might as well just turn around and walk back. If you see, what if I see a coyote? Should I kill it? It's like, man, typically out here, yes. But no, if you shoot a coyote, you're going to run off deer. So you need to make, if you see multiple living things, you need to make a decision on, you know, which ones
what do you
really
keep?
want to. You can go kill a coyote and a hog any day of the week, but you only got 2 weeks to kill a deer out here in Oklahoma. So make up your mind. You know, so he came back unsuccessful, but you could tell he's about an inch taller. You know what I mean?
That's good.
Like,
that's cool.
And I remember my first time carrying a gun off in the woods by myself. Dad's like, I'm not fucking going with you. If you want to go at 4 a.m, that's your business, son. I'll drop you off. And I remember that coming back feeling like a, you know, nowadays the military isn't as good as it was when we were kids. Like there wasn't there. I'm not saying the military is not as good, but what I mean is there's not action movies where kids these days aren't like, I want to grow up and be a Navy SEAL or Marine recon. Like our generation was heavy on Hollywood military movies. It's not that way now. Now they're like, I want to grow up and cut my dick off. I don't know what the fuck. But it's fucking different times. You know what I'm saying? So, but my kid coming
just
back,
can't
I
run
can
over
tell
that,
he
man.
felt like a grown man. Like
I want to cut
I'm old
my
enough to
left
do my
testicle.
How things have changed.
Yeah. Hey, you know what?
Y'all never thought of that, but that's the fucking truth. But y'all don't laugh because that's fucking real.
Right.
That leads us to like a really good subject, though. We're all parents. We're all entrepreneurs. We all come from shit. What is a moment where you saw your kid and you're like, oh, I think they got it. Like, I think they got it. Like my daughters are 23 and 21. We produced a movie. And to see them work as hard as they work, like just like they're executive producers, but doing grunt work. And I show up at the shoot in Los Angeles, and we have like 100 people working on the set, and it's just crazy. Like all these people work for me, right? Like trailers and actors and makeup artists and all this stuff. And I just saw it. I had a moment where I'm like, I see it. They got it. Like everything that they see me do from stage and. Every, you know, all the subjects of me talking about, you know, owning your life and, you know, your past doesn't have to determine your future. You know, they don't come from where I come from. So the biggest worry is like, how do you know that they got it? Like, do you have a moment like where you see?
Well, first of all, I was at the premiere.
Yeah,
it was a great movie.
Thank you.
I was, and what I said was I felt like I was in the movie.
Yeah,
not at my friend's premiere.
That's a good compliment.
Good. That's good. That was really good.
That's good. Thank you.
So Harrison, I played D1 football at Naval Academy and TCU, And I've never pushed my kids to do any sports because I didn't want to be that parent trying to live vicariously through them. Nothing wrong with that or whatever, but he did flag football last spring, and then he decides to do tackle football. Now, my wife didn't want him to do tackle football.
I remember that.
Concussion.
I was like, yeah. And obviously I play football. I want him. There's all this other stuff that they can learn in football from a third party coach speaking into their life, learning how to deal with stuff in the mud, other kids that are better than them at the time, and all these things. Right. So it was cool because he never complained once about getting up early and going to practice. They had a little summer camp there at the high school across the street. He was going to practice and not doing any of the fun work. It was the speed work and the weights and all this stuff. And so, he had gone a week before his two best friends went because they were on vacation or whatever. And so, Megan and I are putting the kids to bed, Harrison and Livingston. I'm asking Harrison, man, how did Preston and so-and-so do? He's like, I don't know. I go there to work. And I got all hyped up. So I stood up and I'm all like going like this.
Yeah, bitch.
And the dogs start barking and stuff.
Not bedtime
Everybody's
anymore.
going crazy, man.
Yeah.
But I got excited because
You saw a little bit of you.
yeah, because it's like he understood it. It was about the work.
Got
because
the assignment.
and we've
That's
had
good.
a lot of conversations because he's 7th grade football B team. He's not starting on the B team, but he's on the B team and he's playing. But I go, if you want to play next year, we got a lot of work to do. He goes, I know. And so he understood, like, here's the crazy thing. He has all this confidence, man, like in his ability, his brain confidence is more than his athleticism.
It's good.
And he understands that.
We
because
train
we talked
that.
about
That's
it.
what we train.
We talked about it.
Yeah.
And I said, we got to do a lot of speed work and a lot of work. He's like, I'm ready for it. I'm like, okay. So that made me feel really,
so
really
cool.
good when he realized that.
That's so cool. Because we teach generational wealth, but what we really want is generational mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it. Like, I can see the evidence starting to peek its head up. What about you, Matt?
I mean, my kids are all so different. My oldest daughter scares me because she's the most like me.
Yeah.
She's got like an edge to her,
Zara?
She's got an edge to her big time. And so, like, she was homecoming queen, which
Oh, really?
I was not homecoming king by any stretch
I
of the
was.
imagination.
Not in your face.
You were.
Maybe I'm the father.
But no. Oh, shit.
That's crazy. I'm sure I'm going to get it
I was
back.
traveling a lot back then.
That one flight I missed.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. How you explain the blonde hair, but
Yeah. It's a recessive gene,
My
no,
mom's
so like
white.
seeing Zara be, homecoming queen, and just like daily things of like the street smarts with her, and then with Angelina, she's very like loving, has a heart of gold, and so she's gonna
Save the
it'll
world.
be interesting because she's like a save the world kind of thing, but she also has that like entrepreneurial gene in her, and
that's
being the
awesome.
middle child. Sometimes I see more drive in her because she's like, making bracelets to start a business to sell on Etsy and stuff like that,
Attention more than the other two.
Yeah, and then Caden is super analytical, and I can be, I
Very
definitely have
analytical.
a very
He's wicked
analytical side of me.
smart.
But
That's the vertebrae.
But I always thought, man, he's like, the nerd at school. And then I saw him, and he is, because he's like super smart. But I saw him at his birthday party, and it was like an escape room. And I saw him leading all the other kids, like, guys, we have to do this. Come here,
So
and
he's
he's
got
like,
it.
And I was like, holy shit! I've never you don't see that with his sisters because the sisters are older; they're the leaders, and he's the like follower. But seeing him with his classmates, I'm like, oh damn, he's actually leading these kids.
That's good.
Yeah, it was cool because
That's
I just
awesome.
thought he
It's a
was
dad
like the
trophy, right?
Analytical thing.
Yeah.
I was like so proud.
Yeah. It's a dad trophy. Dad trophy.
Yeah.
How about,
What about
you?
you?
Minus your kids killing deers and
I got a
wolves.
lot of proud dad moments. My number one goal in life was to be the dad I never had. So I think I've aced that, but the bar was set low. But about a year ago, So one of the reasons I haven't sold that 720 I have, it's basically I hardly ever drive it, but every now and then my kids will ask to go for a ride, and it's the only vehicle where two of us can get in. So now listen to Theo Vaughn one time, and he's like, I was alone with my mom. And he goes, and I can tell you as a guy that grew up with 6 brothers and sisters, I was alone with my mom like 4 times. So this story sticks out to me. And when I heard him say that, it was just a random conversation. I was like, I have a lot of kids. That's God's way of saying, hey, you got to pay attention to them individually, not just collectively.
Yes.
Yeah.
That car allows me to do that, right? And I've been giving the boys rides in fancy cars for forever. And so about a year ago, me and Jax are on one of our Sunday rides. And we're pulling out over here. I think we were leaving the office. And he said something. He's like, yeah, I probably could kick his butt, but I don't really want to get in a fight. So how would I deal with it? And he was asking me some question about school. And I was like, you ever been in a fight? And he goes, no. And he goes, I'm 13. Why would I be in a fight? And then he looked at me and he goes, how old were you when you got in your first fight? It's like probably 5. I don't know, maybe 6. And I was like, you managed to make it this whole time. But it was one of those moments where it's like, oh, okay, my kids have a way different life than mine. So I say that because I never really thought much about it. I'm just trying to be a good dad. But then when him to say that, I was like, oh shit, their life's way different than mine.
Yeah.
But 2 months ago in October, it was Asher's birthday. And I took him and 5 or 10 of his friends to Andretti's. And it was like, this is a funny story because I thought Amy had a party planned at Andretti's. I show up to the house about 5 minutes before we're supposed to be at Andretti's. And she goes, well, you're running the party, right? Like, fuck, I don't got a plan. And of course, I don't give a shit. So I showed up and I just bought all the cards. I bought all the kids $50 gift cards and said, fucking have a good time. I'm going to the bar. I'll see you in 2 hours, right? And I think the parents thought I was watching the kids. But while I was checking out, I wasn't. But because they all left them with me, and I was like,
note to self: next time my kids
are with Stewman, that's 3 felonies.
Now they're 12-year-olds. They got. I didn't want to hang with my parents when I was 12, and I figured they know the law.
Right.
Don't leave the building. We'll be fine.
Right.
The bar's by the entrance. You're not going to sneak out, right? So. But I'm getting the kids' cards, and I'm asking them, what's your name? And I'm filling out their information. And I could hear one of the kids, if I think back, I think it was Chalmers' kid, but maybe not. And he's in the background telling one of the other kids, he's like, listen, Asher's dad, he's really cool. We're going to have a good time. Don't make him mad. If he tells you to do something, don't do it. If you get up from the table, push your chairs in around him. And he's saying stuff and he's not over enough to know this stuff, which told me, hey, my kid's teaching these kids
laying down the law.
I bet these
the Stewman law.
I bet at one point at school they made fun of Asher for always pushing his chair up, and he goes, no, that's what my dad taught me. That's what you guys should be doing too. And I would be hard pressed to see if they weren't all pushing their chairs up at the table now. And so I take these kids over to the side, and I don't, I hear this conversation, but I take these kids over to the side and like, listen, y'all got $50. If one of your buddies has a gambling problem and he's losing his money on video games, take his card from him, save his life. Look out for each other.
Call the 1-800 number on the back.
Second of all, I'm gonna let you guys go. Don't do anything that would piss me off. Think to yourself before you go hollering, running around, screaming, wrecking shit, is this going to piss Mr. Stewman off? Because I promise you don't want that. And 3 of the kids that know me on a regular basis go, yep, you don't want that. But if you're cool, you're going to have a good time today. And I went, man, my kids, he's relaying I don't know these kids well enough. They're not at my house that often.
Laying
my
down the law.
sons obviously are relaying the message that this is how we work. Because
it's a Stewman law. You got a Stewman law.
As a parent was to be the place they all want to hang out. And they do. They all hey, I want to go to Stewman's house. I want to spend the night with Asher. They all do want to hang out at my house, but they all know that there's some rules.
Yeah.
And we had a kid 4 weeks ago come over, spend the night with Asher, and I picked him up and was driving him home. And I'm telling him, while you're in my house, here's the rules, right? You can come over all you want as long as you follow these rules. My wife is yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. I'm yes or no, sir. We push our chairs up. I'm running over the list of just a quick 5-10 things that we do at the house. Yes, sir, I promise, blah, blah, blah. So if you do that, then here's what we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to have a good time. If not, I'll probably just take you to the ranch, put you to work. And he's like, and Asher's in the back seat telling him, it's like, dude, he will put you to work. Trust me. I made like $800 this year working for him.
Yeah.
But your kids don't like that stuff, right? And so we get to the house and I have him bring in the groceries, and my dog jumped on him and ripped the grocery sack open, and the groceries spilled everywhere. And you've seen that kid immediately go, I'm sorry, Mr. Stewman, and drop down and start picking all the shit up. Awesome. It's like, I'm even teaching other people's kids at this point, because I guarantee he didn't care. If that had been his mom and dad, he'd have just like, oh, the dog got me. Y'all got to help me out or whatever. But he saw me. He's like, I'm sorry, Mr. Stewman. I'll make sure it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, the world will be a better place if everybody does that. Right?
Well, that's
one
good
family
dadding.
at a time.
That's good dadding.
I think that this part of the segment is probably the most important. Because like what we teach is generational, right? Like we teach people how to be successful. We teach people how to, chase finances or, chase, financial security. But to me, it's the legacy and it's the mindset. Like this is big for me. My father was hard. Like if you want to like imagine my father, imagine like Samuel L. Jackson in the movie Pulp Fiction. Like he was a very fearful man, but I've never been afraid of another person when my dad was in his presence. But it was, my homeboys would come to the house. I'm like, listen, just say, how are you doing, Mr. Wimbrey? Don't forget to say that. And if you forgot to say that, like it would get lit up very quickly. But it was like setting that foundation. And I love this part of this interview because we're proud of what we, like the foundation that we laid. My son, he's a pilot. He's 13 years old. He's on the spectrum. He's a black belt in karate. He's on the swim team.
Damn, 13?
Yeah, and my daughter is like, just, it is yes, sir. It is yes, ma'am. It's how you doing, Mr. Wimbrey. And it's not about like demanding respect. It's the expectation of who I want you to be.
Yeah.
Like, when your friends come over, it's not a control thing. It's the expectation of who I want your friends to be. And the fact that your kids are stepping in and saying, hey, man, if you do this, my dad will be this. If you don't do this, then my dad becomes this. We don't have that anymore.
Well, and I think it's also, it's okay to hold your kids to a certain expectation. And I think we've gotten to the point where everything is okay. You can be whoever you want to be. Yeah. And I've straight up told my kids, because one of my daughters, one of her friends is like a furry, right?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I said, if you ever decide to be a furry, I'm going to beat your ass.
What's a furry?
Mm-hmm.
They identify as a fucking cat.
My kids taught me that.
And they have a kitty litter box on the fucking corner.
Yeah, I learned this shit from my kids, So.
Right. And so, my daughters are like, so-and-so at school is a boy, but identifies as a girl. And I just, I tell my kids,
this is
that's
why I pay for private school, ladies and gentlemen.
Hold on, man. Y'all can't keep going after the furry shit. Yeah. Well, hold on.
This is why I pay for
private
y'all
kids
school.
Y'all kids go to school with furries?
This was in private school.
Yeah.
This
really?
is in private
Fuck,
school.
I live next to a public school, literally next to it.
This is like private
less
school,
than 50 yards, and then my kids go fucking.
They eat out of dog bowls and shit like that?
No, you look at their Instagram, and all their pictures on Instagram is like wearing a cat suit.
Yeah, it's fucking
wow.
Crazy. Yeah.
No, I ain't down with that.
No, that's why we need good dads. So
and so it's like it needs to be okay. No, you decide to be that. I'm gonna beat your ass.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna call you if you decide you want to be a gender you're not.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna call you that.
Yeah.
Right.
We're gonna be who you are.
Yeah.
You can tell me your name. Don't tell me your gender. If you want to be called whatever, like. Not in my house.
Luckily, I think that's a
if
California
you a Sam,
thing, not a Texas thing. So I don't think gotta worry too much.
Yeah,
we're not too far behind. We're not too far behind.
Well, that's just the challenge is like everything is acceptable. No, it's not.
Yeah,
we've been here for almost 3 hours, fellas.
Yeah.
It's a good conversation.
We covered we covered a lot of gamuts in terms of who we are, what we've accomplished. And we ended with our kids. Yeah, to me, that's a great show.
That's what matters.
That's a great show. For sure. That's a great show.